Hi, my name is Thyagarajan Seshadri. I head the banking and relationship and customer excellence at Electronic Payment and Services. It's a journey come true, and more than that, it's a dream come true. The journey started with the founder Mani Mamalan starting the company in the year 2011. I have been with the founder Mani Mamalan for close to 2 decades. It's been quite a marathon run at EPS since we got the first Ministry of Finance initiated project of 5,000 machines for rollout of ATMs for the state of Maharashtra. So my association with the company goes back to 2011 onwards, and I joined EPS in year 2012 May. From then on, the project was signed in July and the project rollout started soon after. At EPS, people know me as an alter ego, the other face of the founder. It means that I take care of the customer relationship, the face of EPS to the market and the industry. The association started off with the rollout of ATMs for the banks, and today, if we recall, it's been quite a long marathon run. When I say marathon run, a startup company doing a deployment of a capital expenditure rollout of 5,000 machines pan Maharashtra is a challenging task. EPS founder Mani Mamalan is known as the ATM outsourcing guru who has sent many trends. Since I have been part of working with Mani Mamalan for close to 2 decades, I have known the strategy behind how the rollout happens. In fact, the first ATM rollout in ATM was made live by me. So it's a privilege and a pleasure to work with the founder Mani Mamalan, who has set many trends in the ATM industry. Banks start looking at outsourcing non-core activities like IT and core banking for the reason they are not experts. So the outsourcing momentum picked up in the late 90s with the implementation of core banking software. Banks realized that with the core banking software, the automation, they are in a better position to spread their business and concentrate on their core activities of banking. The ATM outsourcing again started way back in the late 90s when one of the public sector banks started outsourcing the entire activity of IT and retail delivery channel to outsourced companies. Thereby, Bank of India is able to come to the market and get more business by automation. So the ATM outsourcing also looked at as one of the non-core activities by banks, whereby the outsourced companies can provide better technological solutions to banks. The first such ATM outsourcing deal came in the year late 1990s when Bank of India outsourced its entire core retail delivery channels, and the first deal was signed whereby the bank signed a deal with a private service provider to execute a contract which includes the complete IT, the retail delivery channels and the core banking software together. So when such deals started coming up, the ATM outsourcing started picking momentum in India. And this time to market is very crucial because the retail delivery channel is one of the important channels where the customer acceptance is considered crucial for retaining the bank's customers. After which there was many more such ATM outsourcing deals started with private sector banks coming also into foray, and the ATM outsourcing companies started really flourishing. See, this outsourcing plays a vital part in development and growth of bank's business. For example, if a bank has a plans to deploy let's say 1,000 ATMs to reach out to their customers, these outsourcing companies play a big role by way of deployment of technology per se. See, if you look at this EPS operations, we are an ATM outsource companies who specialize on end-to-end ATM deployment, management and operations of ATMs. This is a disruptive technology that the business that we are in, which enables the banks to reach out to their customers by way of offering self-service delivery channels for the customers. So when I said APS can deploy n number of machines for a bank, we help banks in terms of reach to the market in short span. The time to market is very important for retaining the customers and expanding the business of a bank. So when the bank comes out with a tender, with a request for proposition, which is called an RFP, we participate in the bid and we win the bid, we deploy the machines for bank. So in a way, we help the bank to deploy these terminals, which are self-service delivery channels, to reach out to their customers in short span of time. So this helps in banks to retain the customers and also provide one way of extending the delivery channels apart from branch. A branch is a typical brick and mortar place, but here this ATM is an extended branch, it's called, and so it helps in enabling their customers to reach out to their requirement of cash and other requirements where they can transact in an ATM. So in a way, our business helps the banks to grow their business by not only retaining the customers, but enabling the banks to reach to their customers and reduce the time to the market by offering their products and services through ATM. If I want to give you an example, we have deployed machines for a requirement of a bank in short span of time, which bank by themselves will not be equipped enough to handle this technology. For example, if they have to deploy, say, 1,000 machines, they have to have enough infrastructure in terms of technology, in terms of human resources, in terms of capital expenditure and operations. So this plays a crucial role in enabling the technology by deployment of these self-service terminals to banks and help the banks to grow the business. And EPS per se is 100% trust factor for the customer, because we have delivered the machines as per the customer requirements in the past, and this helps the banks to reach out to their customers in short span of time. EPS major customers are State Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Central Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Dena Bank, and all other remaining 21 public sector banks. We have signed a contract for the Ministry of Finance initiative of financial inclusion, where we have deployed close to 4,500 machines only in the state of Maharashtra for all these 21 public sector banks. So we serve predominantly on the government public sector banks, and that is our forte. Two things come to the fore here. One is how a startup company was successfully run, and two, what are the trust factors that made this success a known factor which enables the whole banking industry come to us for outsourcing of ATMs and the entire end-to-end management of the ATMs. First question is, EPS was a startup, no doubt, but the founder and the senior management were not, which means that we have been part and parcel of this ATM growth. When India had few hundreds of ATMs, to today we have close to 215,000 ATMs pan-India. We have worked with various companies in the ATM outsourced space for banks, enabling banks to deploy these machines, which implies that we have been part and parcel of this growth of ATMs with banks, and we are known as professionals who deliver, professionals with a keen focus on results. This, in a way, helped the startup really outperform the others in terms of our delivering ATMs on time to the banks. When we signed up a contract for 5,000 machines through a tendering process, EPS was sure we will not only deliver, we will also meet the customer's expectations. Here comes the founder's keen leadership role in enabling the transition from a startup to a matured company. The trust factor that we have built over the years as a senior management with various banks, and the founders' vision, mission, and the trendsetters in the ATM industry combined together enabled us having the trust of banks in rolling out the ATMs on time. In fact, the entire project started off in 2012, and in a short span of 3.5 or 4 years, we have deployed close to 4,500 machines for the Ministry of Finance initiated Financial Inclusion Project, Pan Maharashtra state, where we have the signed tender, which implies that we have delivered the machines on time, and the customers like banks have indeed appreciated our efforts of delivering results on time. The leadership role we have with the founder enabled us to have the trust with the senior management by providing them the freedom and enabling us to perform our jobs better. Thereby, we are known in the ATM industry as people who perform continuously. This trust enabled us over a long period of time. The trust has not come in just a few months. We have been with the ATM industry, with the banks, for close to 1.5 to 2 decades, and this has enabled that trust built over the years and delivering results to the banks. Public sector banks have a transparent tendering process. The public sector banks are clear about the strategy in terms of their requirement, and that is explicitly given in the tendering process. As EPS, the senior management and the founder have a large experience and exposure in working with public sector banks earlier. That is our forte. So that gives us a strength to work with public sector banks, as it is a known domain and space. Having said, public sector banks have really outgrown their ATM growth, if you see the numbers, vis-a-vis the private sector banks. Hence, it is a given decision that we work with public sector banks, as we have a good experiences in the past, and that gives us a lot of momentum to ensure that we deliver the ATMs with public sector banks according to their project requirements and service level agreements. EPS, though strength works with the public sector banks, we would also be working with private sector banks as and when the need arises. The private sector banks are technologically savvy and have a very demanding schedule. This gives us enough challenges, and we are looking at really working with private sector banks, and we have in fact initiated a lot of discussions working with private sector banks as well. See, it's an evolution, right? Today, we are much evolved from the startup to a matured company through deployment of brown label ATMs for banks. As the market need demands and as the market matures, we would also look at getting into white label ATMs. This would depend on various factors, the entire ecosystem, the customer's mindset especially, and the ecosystem is favorable, we will look at getting into white label ATMs as the market demands. There is an inflection point we are at present where there are little ATMs in the rural India. The whole program started with Ministry of Finance identifying inroads into rural by way of providing what is called the direct benefit transfer of social benefit scheme of Government of India. This is a huge mandate the Government of India is having in terms of dispersing the beneficiaries' amount to reach the rural mass. So, the direct benefit transfer program of financial inclusion was identified as the vehicle by Ministry of Finance, which initiated a project wherein the private ATM service providers were called to deploy ATMs in the rural India. So, this program was initiated with the help of financial inclusion program, and Ministry of Finance called the banks to float the tender for deployment of ATMs in India, in the rural India. The program was devised in such a way that in 2 years of time, there was close to 50,000 ATMs to be deployed, which was the program devised by the ministry. The direct benefit transfer program of Ministry of Finance was having a serious issue, the challenge of the amount not reaching the beneficiary either in time or the amount is not reaching the beneficiary at all. There was a huge gap in enabling this amount transferring from respective ministries to the beneficiary. So, the Ministry of Finance was called in to find out a solution for enabling this cash transfer to the beneficiary. So, the Ministry of Finance discussed this program with banks and identified that technology can play a big role in enabling these social benefit schemes reach the rural mass. There are close to 33 such social benefit schemes by Government of India through their various ministries, where there is an amount of close to 60,000 crores are being dispersed through the social benefit schemes to various beneficiaries throughout India and mainly in the rural India. So, the ministry, with the discussions with various banks, came out with a solution that by deploying ATMs in the rural mass and in the semi-urban area, they can cut the cash going to a broker or any other party and directly reaching the beneficiary by enabling the technology. So, what they devised is they initiated a financial inclusion program whereby a card is given and an account is opened to the beneficiary. When an account is opened, the beneficiary gets a debit card. So, he gets a debit card and he gets the intimation that there is a money transferred to his account through a social benefit scheme. So, he goes to the ATM, he ensures that money is available after he gets the confirmation from the respective ministry, and he does a transaction whereby the cash is obtained without any intermediaries involved. So, thereby the beneficiary gets on time and every time the cash at his doorstep, and this in a way has cut down the cost of reaching this cost to the beneficiary, and to a great extent has benefited the social benefit scheme of Government of India. So, the success of direct benefit transfer enabled the Ministry of Finance to come out with a much known success of what is now called Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana. This initiative by the Ministry of Finance again enabled the common man, the unbanked, to come into the mainstream of social banking and enabled him to get an account to open an account and also to have a debit card, thereby they come into the mainstream. This has various advantages, like there is a traceability of transaction, there is the white money that comes into the banking system, and the beneficiary is also in a way satisfied because he gets the money through the ATM available at his rural area without any intermediary or without any hassles. He doesn't have to even travel to the bank branch to get his cash out. I would read it as challenges. As we grow from the startup to the matured company, keeping pace with the growth is the greatest challenge at EPS. For example, the first year started, we clocked a revenue of close to 6 crores. The second year, the turnover of close to 66 crores. Last year, we had a top line revenue of 130 crores. This year, March, we will be clocking a turnover of close to 170 crores. So if you see the past, the growth of EPS is explosive. When I say explosive, keeping momentum of growth is one of the challenges EPS has. EPS believes not in sprint, but running a marathon. So apart from the growth, the other challenges I see is also the sustainability. Keeping growth is one, but also ensuring that we have this sustainability across over the years. Also, next challenge I look at it is also value creation. EPS grown from ATM outsourcing company, we have to evolve as an end-to-end payment system company. Today, we have the whole ecosystem. Payment system is one of the growing businesses in India. Today, if you look at Reserve Bank of India has come out with payment banks licenses. Reserve Bank also given licenses for small banks. In a way, this payment system is in an inflection point. Having said, EPS is getting into an end-to-end payment system company. So the challenges we are having is of growth, is of value creation, and ensuring sustainability over the years. Having said, EPS has in the past delivered results to all its stakeholders in the ecosystem. Just few months back, we have completed a transaction of an investor coming into on board of EPS with a revenue with a baggage of 180 crores investments. So as we move on to the next platform, this is EPS 2.0. We'll be looking at acquiring companies. We'll be looking at getting into other areas of payment system, be it utility bill payments, for which the NPCA, National Payments Corporation of India, has come out with a separate model called BBPOU, Bharat Bill Payment Outsourcing Unit. So we are at an inflection point. As I said, there is a huge growth potential is available, and the opportunities are there for EPS to look at and grow with an exponential growth in the few years to come. EPS is driven by passion, technology, and performance. EPS stands for professional commitment to all the stakeholders in the ecosystem. As I keep saying in every other meeting, there are three types of companies. Those companies who watch things happen. There are those companies who wonder what happened. And there is the third category of companies who make things happen. At EPS, we not only make things happen, but we make things happen better for our customers, for the stakeholders, for investors, employers, and employees. As you see, as our evolution is growing, EPS is emerging as the fastest growing professionally managed company. So we are looking at a big picture of 1,000 crore turnover in the near term, and an IPO to the benefit of all the stakeholders in the ecosystem. Thank you.